So, the Nintendo Switch press event just wrapped up, and holy shit, that was kind of amazing, and kind of not at the same time. It's actually really weird. Easiest way for me to put it is it was really, really Japanese, which is a really good thing for some people and not so much for others. To begin with though, let's talk about the actual specifications of the system itself. It will be releasing on March 3rd, which is way sooner than I think anyone was anticipating, and it's going to be at a price point of $300. A little higher than I was hoping for. That puts it at the same price as a PS4 Slim or Xbox One, so it's competitive, but it's not exactly aggressive. That's not all we learned though. There's a few other interesting little tidbits. To begin with, online services are going to be paid for just like on PS4 and Xbox One. So if you were hoping to have a modern day console with free multiplayer online, that dream is now dead. On the flip side though, the Nintendo Switch will be a region-locking free system, meaning that if you want to play a game that's from Japan or Europe or anywhere else, it will work on your Nintendo Switch no matter what country it's originally from, which is really cool. Now, as for the portable aspects of the system, which I think a lot of people were curious about, there's a bit of good and bad news. The bad news is that the estimated battery life is 2.5 to 6 hours, which really means more like 2.5 to 3 hours, because that 6-hour mark is based on some kind of game that doesn't have very much power draw, and you're not having the backlight on, and all kinds of other stuff that isn't really a real-world application. On the upside though, you can charge the system with the wall outlet, not having to use the recharge dock setup, and it's a USB-C charger, so you don't have to buy any kind of special Nintendo-only one. If you lose it, but you have a charger for some other device, it'll work just fine. And the last bit of news that's really cool about the portable aspects of the system is that it does support local multiplayer with other Switches, supporting up to as many as 8 of them, which could mean potentially as large as 16-player multiplayer if each system is supporting 2 people. Now, after all that, they spent a lot of time talking about the Joy-Con controllers, which personally, I'm still not really sold on. They look really tiny, really uncomfortable, the kind of thing that's going to cause your hands to cramp after as much as only 30 minutes of game time. On the flip side though, the cool stuff was they revealed other colors for it, including red and blue, and it has full-on motion controls and a new vibration function, which is supposed to be the highest quality yet, according to Nintendo at least. One interesting thing though is that they didn't spend any time at all talking about hardware specs, which isn't super surprising. There have been some leaks and rumors about what the system is going to run on. It's more than likely going to be weaker than the PS4 or Xbox One, and based on the gameplay they showed later in the conference, that looks about right. So after all that, we finally start talking about games, which had a rocky start, because in typical Nintendo fashion, they decided to open up with fun motion-based party games. Because hey, it's fun for the whole family, and everyone can use it as icebreakers, and look at this footage we're showing where people are at a club playing a tennis game, because that's something a real person would do? Moving on, we actually talk about games that were first hinted at the first Switch reveal, which were a brand new Splatoon title, not just a port of the one on Wii U, and a new Mario game called Mario Odyssey, which looked a little disturbing because it was Mario in New York with regular proportioned people, which is really weird, but the rest of the game looked fantastic. The downside is, neither of these games are launch titles, with Splatoon 2 being sometime in the summer, and Mario Odyssey all the way back to the holiday season, if it doesn't get pushed back. Now, it was after these 2 games that the press conference took a really interesting turn, because it had a huge focus on Japanese third-party companies focusing on Japanese RPGs, or related genres at least, with games like Fire Emblem Warriors, Shin Megami Tensei 5, Xenoblade 2, and a lot more, which personally, I get super hyped for. Those are genres I love. But it's not necessarily the best route to take if you want to get most of the world excited. It's kind of a niche genre, especially in North America. Now, to balance this out, they did spend a little time talking about Western franchises. They started off by cutting to a video of Todd Howard talking about how excited he is for the Switch, and that we're going to be able to play Skyrim on it, because who isn't excited about a video game we all already played back in 2011? I guess it's portable, so that is a cool new thing. What was more interesting to me was when they brought out EA to talk about FIFA. Now, me personally, I'm not a huge sports game fan. It's just never really done anything for me. But the Switch seems like it could be a really interesting home for that genre because of the idea of portable, local multiplayer. So after the sort of in-depth look at a handful of games, they then went to this kind of wrap-up highlight reel trailer, which I think took a lot of people off guard because most of the games they focused on weren't in this presentation. But some of them did get trailers afterwards posted on YouTube. Some of these were ports of games like Rayman and Dragon Ball, but we got some new games too, like a new Bomberman, a new Tetris game, and a new Street Fighter 2, which I am all kinds of excited for. Now, if they had ended things here, it would have been a little awkward, because so far we have 1 launch title confirmed, and they haven't spent any time at all talking about the one game we all want information on. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Well, thankfully, they cut to a trailer of it that was nothing short than incredible and confirmed the game will in fact come out on the Nintendo Switch release date of March 3rd. But honestly, who cares? 1-2 Switch Game of the Year 2017.